Hi, I'm going to talk about August 2024 and kind of the main stuff going on and try to make sense of it in a simplified, streamlined way. That's something I prefer rather than a chopped up day-to-day approach. I will mention some days, but let's look for the overall message and maybe some significant points in the month. I can tell you right off the bat that there are a few significant days. Of course, I'm recording this on Mercury retrograde, the official retrograde, which is the 5th of August. So that'll be a big theme for the month is Mercury retrograde from the 5th to um, let's see if I have it. I think it's the 28th. The 28th is when it goes direct. Yeah, the 28th it goes direct. I'm going to be looking at my notes because I cannot retain all these dates in my head. But the and because you guys probably, if you're watching this, you probably know there's a shadow period for Mercury retrograde on either side of the official dates. So essentially we've been in Mercury retrograde a little bit at the end of July, and we will continue to be in the shadow through the end of August. So it dominates the month. And because Mercury is Virgo's patron planet, and the sun goes into Virgo, and also we have like Venus into Virgo. Um, so we have some Virgo energy here, and Venus will be expressing that. Mercury in the beginning will be expressing that, and then it's going to go into Leo, but there is this sort of mercurial Mercury Virgo theme. When we talk about Mercury in relationship to Virgo, we're talking about news cycles you're going to see in the world around you. So we'll talk about the bigger and then go inward. So you'll see news cycles. There's a lot of news happening, and looking at things through new lenses, analyzing things, taking a step back and really looking at the big picture, but also going into details. It's a little, Virgo can do both because of the Mercury. Mercury flies around, it's symbolized by the, like the golden winged boots of, this mythical Mercury. So Virgo can move very easily around and zoom into details and move back out to see the big picture. And so our ability to analyze and take a fresh look at things, to see things more clearly, is actually heightened under a retrograde, especially for slowing down and focusing on that and allowing ourselves to do that. I have total beach here. I'm in Cape Cod and I'm sharing my view with you because it's very nice, and I'll share it with you guys. You might like it too. But I do have total beach here. I suffer from beach hair syndrome. Um, so that's one big factor. Then we have I would say the 7th is another big day. Has more of a kind of lucky feel to it. Lucky in the sense of we've got Venus, Mercury, the Sun, and Jupiter all operating together. I mean, other things operating together too. I'm just focusing on, I'm going into the details. And so the 7th is an interesting day. Then, and I'm not going to just, I'm not going to go too deep on this. We're going to talk about the bigger themes here. So, but I'm just giving you some days to look at. So 7th is a good day. Good day for learning, ideas. If you need to rewrite something, take another look at something, return to some kind of idea or writing piece or school idea, something like a new plan for travel, education, maybe somebody who is represented by one of these planets or the sun. But it has a good feeling to it where, Mercury and Venus are working together. Some people would say when something's conjunct like Mercury and Venus that it's tense or challenged, but I think with Sun sextile Jupiter, I think it's good. Maybe you're working with a challenging topic, maybe the topic is challenging, but you'll figure it out and it'll be a good decision. Of course, this is based on everybody's actions. Like, are you working at your highest level, or are you working at your lowest level? So everything's decision based for individuals. You know, we can choose to go high or low, we can choose good or bad decisions, but there's a lot of energy here to support good decisions, good lucky decisions. But they may be challenging, like there may be a lot at stake. Maybe there's a lot at stake with this decision or what you're looking at. Um, then I would say the 14th is another day, so 7 days later. Um, this this is a little more challenging. There's action involved. So maybe I think, if I were guessing, my best guess about this is that this is a follow-up because it's a week later from the 7th, that maybe you're going into action. You're moving forward with something that you were working on the 7th. You're moving forward, there's a new action, things have more movement to them. That even with the Mercury retrograde, Mercury the way it is on the 14th, I think there's still, you're able to take forward movement. You can still take forward movement under Mercury, um, especially if you've gone back and analyzed and reframed something, you can still move forward. Then the 18th and 19th, big moments. So it's so interesting in the US, if you look culturally and politically at what's happening, you've got the Democratic National Convention. And so you will see the themes here, which is Sun conjunct. I'm just going to list a few of them. There are more. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Mercury square Uranus, the Sun conjunct Mercury, Venus square Jupiter. That's all on the 18th. And there's even more on the 18th. I'm just listing kind of the highlights. And then the 19th, again, just highlights. You've got Jupiter square Saturn and the Sun square Uranus. So the energy changes from this point forward in the month. So really from the 18th, oh no, really, I'm going to back up and say, let me think about this. Really from the 15th, so mid-month on, the energy really changes. You really start to notice it on the 18th and 19th. You go from all this, Venus and Jupiter and Mercury kind of working together to then Uranus is coming in, Saturn's coming in, Pluto comes in at the end of the month, but in a good way. So the energy shifts. And so there is movement. There's a sense you're not, a lot of people think with Mercury retrograde that you're kind of stuck and you have to just totally like do nothing, don't sign anything. And those rules still do kind of apply, but there's something you may be working on in your personal life, maybe multiple things. Usually it's multiple. So maybe different areas of your life, you're making decisions, you're taking action, and you'll see a lot of activity even in your own life if you pull in just you personally. The 18th and the 19th are highly significant. So let's break this down. I think there are some, we talked about how, there's this there's something you're working on, some decisions, some things you're analyzing, and there may be on multiple fronts. Remember, life is complex. You've got many different areas of life where you're analyzing different things, making different kinds of decisions around the 7th. And then you may be starting to take action around the 14th. And then this kind of rubber hits the road and you've got to make it real. You've got to figure out how to make things real. And you realize this is going to take work. This is maybe some challenge here. It's not that it's insurmountable. We have challenges every single day. So don't hear the word challenge and think, oh no, we have challenges every single day. But they're in this bigger theme that's going on for you in August. And again, it could be themes, plural. Rubber meets the road, and then you're still under a Mercury retrograde. So there could be headwinds. If you've ever been on a bike against the wind, or in a kayak or a boat against the wind, these headwinds that you feel them, you're aware of them. Doesn't mean you can't move forward, doesn't mean you can't achieve your goals and make it real, but it just means you feel the headwinds. This is all very much a part of nature, and you're a part of nature. So think of it like nature. Sometimes there are headwinds. Sometimes the wind is at your back. This middle part of the month, the wind is not at your back. So you feel these things. How do you help yourself? By thinking what's best for all. So you think, and you can bounce in between. Remember, we talked about the beauty of Mercury here. We're working with Virgo and Mercury energy to some degree. You still have Leo energy, which adds bravery and courage to implement, so it's good energy. And you're dealing with Mercury's ability to, and given the gift to zoom in on the details, pull back and see the big picture, zoom in on the details. So keeping your mind flexible, staying flexible during this month as you know, create a plan, start to implement a plan and put it in place. Rubber hits the road, there are headwinds. Use that flexibility, use your mental flexibility to deal with headwinds. And then what else here? Trying to give you some tips, because the 18th and 19th, interesting times. Doesn't mean it's going to be negative, but it's big. Like there's some big things happening here. I would say watch out for ego, your own ego, because you can't control other people's egos, right? You have no control over someone else's ego and their stubbornness and what somebody else is going to choose to do. You have zero control over that. All you can control, and if you have to negotiate anything, you're dealing with other people, you can check your own ego. So check your own ego and make sure that your ego is not getting in the way. So you have to be able, and this will be one of the challenges, one of the headwind elements for this time around the 18th, 19th, is checking your ego at the door. First, to do that, you have to be able to see that you have an ego and that it might be getting in the way. And so if you've ever worked on that before, you'll be in good shape if you know how to do that. Some people don't know how to do that. If you don't know how to do that, start reading. Start reading up on how do I check my ego at the door. Because there are good coaching tips around that. And if you're in earnest around wanting to learn how to do it, you can learn how to do it. So practice. The 19th, as the energy starts to move into the 19th, I would say the overall theme here, we've got Jupiter square Saturn. So this is a big one. This is a big one. You're feeling it even now, because this is a bigger kind of transit with the outer planets. So you're feeling even now some taste of it, a little, appetizer version of it. You've been feeling it. It'll be exact on the 19th, and you'll feel it afterwards. So this is a longer term influence, even though it's exact on one day. So just think of this as like, this is a bigger theme to keep in mind. So Jupiter square Saturn, you think headwinds, think in terms of forces of nature that can feel more challenging, headwinds, resistance to things, working against the grain, but you're still moving forward, getting things done. But it's a battle of ideas sometimes. Um, like the very mundane themes, like for some people, this is back to school time. Back to school may be challenging for some people, or there may be issues around school for some of you. It may be very literal because Jupiter and Saturn both govern education, learning. So education and learning, it might be formal education, certainly with well, both actually, Jupiter and Saturn. Saturn tends to be more like the fundamental, like foundational things you're learning. And Jupiter tends to be more philosophical and university, like the bigger ideas in life, spiritual. Um, But there's something about school that's challenging. There could be a school, there may be news about schools. So watch this date on the 19th. Um, so it's like a battle for the ideas. And there may be a lot of surprises around how this shakes out in your own life and bigger, on a world stage, a national stage. There are going to be some surprises around some changes of direction. Ideas can change quickly. There can be surprises. And this is again in your own personal life and on a bigger stage. So it's just a day where keep in mind the gifts of this month, the gift of being able to pivot, to be flexible in your own thinking, to be creative in your own thinking. All of us get the gift. It's not just Virgos and Geminis who get this gift. You now get access to this gift of being a little more flexible, a little more open-minded, a little less rigid, but there will be this clash of rigidity versus flexibility that's going to occur around the 18th and 19th. So just watch for those themes. They're big themes. We can't escape them. So how do you want to deal with that? Do you want to be super rigid? I can tell you in these times, the answer is no. But some people will just say, no, I want to be rigid. I'm going to draw a line in the sand and that's it. And that's what you decide to do. I can I can tell you that's probably not going to work for you in these times that we're in. Long term, it's going to be a bad strategy for you. You really are better served in this new age, which extends for many hundreds of years. You're better served if you can start to feel around within yourself where you can yield, where you can be flexible, where you can expand your mind, where you can learn more and go deeper and see things with more clarity. When you can think about the good of all versus the good of the few, this is where people are served best. And so, just keep those themes in mind. And I would just advise you in your personal life on those days, use that flexibility of mind, check your ego at the door, be prepared for surprises, so that you're not flat-footed or overly reactive to it. Be ready for it. And being ready sometimes gives you the edge. The 27th, 28th, 29th, suddenly the energy is really shifting here. Venus is a big player. Venus is trine Uranus. Venus is in opposition to Neptune. Venus is trine Pluto. So this time, there are definitely, undeniably themes of women. Women, change, finding clarity around something, maybe a woman in your life. Maybe it's you finding clarity, big changes around the feminine. It could be the archetypal feminine that I talked about in my I did a video on the presidential election and the rise of the feminine archetype. So you'll start to see this in the world at the end of August. There is going to be this feminine archetype on the rise, which is an irreversible, very long term, beyond our lifetime trend. Bringing it back down to your life, um, there could be love interests that come in from the past. You may be rethinking your love life and your relationships. Um, there's actually some marriage energy, like getting married and partnering up earlier in the month on the 9th. And then you kind of jump to the end of the month and there's kind of this follow up to that. And I would say definitely it's a powerful time at the end of the month for romance, partnering, love life, rethinking your love life, making decisions around love. And these can be very long term. So be careful what you choose to do, choose to say around this time. I think the only thing that could hurt you is not realizing how long term your actions are. So be careful around the end of the month because what you say and do and how you respond and react to things has kind of permanent results. And so try not to be, I would say, don't be rash. Try to understand that your actions have consequences. And this could turn out really well for you if you understand that. So it's good. I think what's happening at the end of the month can be very powerful and good, especially in relationships. Just understand that the only way this could go bad is if you're not mindful of how permanent your words are, how permanent your actions are. Just understand, like if you rashly in the heat of the moment say, I don't know if this relationship's going to work, this is just not going to work because you're just upset, that could be a final kind of decision that you didn't even think you were making. So it's that kind of thing. So just be mindful of that. And then otherwise, I think the end of the month is kind of nice, and it really can relate to the ninth. It doesn't have to, but it could for many people if you're getting engaged or getting married or making, you have some obvious relationship things going on, the ninth could very neatly tie to the end of the month. So, so have a good month. We are in interesting times, there is no doubt. But there's a lot that's very interesting in a good way here. It doesn't mean negative things won't happen. We are living in a world where negative things happen and people make decisions every day to go low or go high, make a good decision versus a bad decision. But overall, I think the month has interesting markers for change, could go in a very good direction, but it all depends on people and their choices. It depends on us. It depends on you and your choices, it depends on me and my choices in my life. So we have to remember that our actions count. Uh, but it'll be interesting. If nothing else, it's going to be very interesting.